16 Black child stars who completely vanished from Hollywood. They were once the brightest faces on our TV screens, stealing scenes, winning awards, and becoming household names. But just as quickly as they rose, these black child stars vanished from Hollywood, leaving behind questions, rumors, and heartbreaking twists. From sitcom prodigies who earned millions to Disney darlings who shocked the world with their sudden exits, their stories are far more dramatic than the roles that made them famous. Stay tuned as we reveal the untold truth about 16 child stars who disappeared, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story from Legends of Black Excellence. Gary Coleman. When people think of the ultimate child star of the late 1970s and early 1980s, Gary Coleman's name often tops the list. Standing at just 4 feet 8 inches due to a rare kidney condition known as focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, Gary became one of the most recognizable faces on American television. His role as Arnold Jackson on the hit sitcom Different Strokes, 1978-1986, made him a household name worldwide. With his cheeky smile and unforgettable catchphrase, "What you talking about?" Willis Coleman captivated audiences across generations. At the height of his fame, Gary was reported to be earning nearly $100,000 per episode, an astronomical figure for a child actor at the time. He appeared in films, commercials, and even voiced animated versions of his Different Strokes character. By the time he was 18, Gary was believed to have amassed a fortune of around $18 million. Yet behind the laughter and studio lights, his personal reality was far darker. Gary's parents and business advisor were in charge of his finances while he was a minor. Unfortunately, much of that money was mismanaged. When Coleman reached adulthood, he discovered that the fortune he had worked for was largely gone. In 1989, he sued his parents and manager, eventually winning a judgment of $1.28 million, but it was only a fraction of what he had lost. The betrayal cut deep, leaving him financially and emotionally scarred. As he transitioned into adulthood, Hollywood no longer embraced him the way it once had. Despite occasional guest appearances and voiceover work, major studios weren't interested in casting him beyond the shadow of his Arnold Jackson persona. To make ends meet, Gary worked normal jobs, including as a security guard. Paparazzi often mocked him when spotted in uniform, highlighting the harsh contrast between his glamorous past and his present struggles. His personal life was equally turbulent. Coleman had frequent run-ins with the law, including altercations with fans and paparazzi. He also suffered from ongoing health issues due to his lifelong kidney disease, undergoing multiple transplants and requiring regular dialysis. His marriage to Shannon Price in 2007 added more complications, with the relationship often making tabloid headlines for its instability. Tragically, in May 2010, Gary Coleman passed away at just 42 years old after suffering a brain hemorrhage following a fall at his home in Utah. His death shocked fans, but also served as a grim reminder of how child fame can lead to devastating outcomes when combined with health struggles, financial mismanagement, and the unforgiving nature of Hollywood. Gary Coleman's legacy is bittersweet. On one hand, he remains one of the most iconic child actors in television history, immortalized by his quick wit and comedic timing. On the other, his story represents the dangers of child stardom, early exploitation, financial loss, and the emotional weight of being unable to transition into adult roles. His name will forever remind audiences of the joy he brought to millions, but also of the tragic costs of fleeting fame. Emmanuel Lewis. In the 1980s, Emmanuel Lewis was one of the most beloved faces on American television. Best known for his role as the adorable Webster Long on the hit sitcom Webster, 1983-1989. Lewis captured hearts everywhere with his charm, quick wit, and small stature that made him stand out from other child actors. Standing at just 4 feet 3 inches due to an unknown medical condition that affected his growth. Emmanuel's presence was magnetic. Unlike many child stars who relied on gimmicks, his natural warmth and comedic timing made him a star in his own right. At the peak of Webster's success, Emmanuel was not just a TV actor, he was a cultural phenomenon. He appeared on magazine covers, starred in commercials, and even became a global ambassador of sorts for American entertainment. His fame reached far beyond the United States, particularly in Japan, where he became so popular that he recorded 2 music albums in Japanese and even performed live concerts. By the age of 13, Emmanuel Lewis was known across continents. But when Webster ended in 1989, after 6 seasons, things began to shift. Unlike some of his peers, Emmanuel didn't fall into scandals or financial troubles, but Hollywood wasn't eager to give him new leading roles. Casting directors struggled to see him outside of Webster, and the industry's obsession with typecasting limited his opportunities. He made guest appearances on shows such as Family Matters and participated in TV specials, but none carried the same weight as his defining role. Instead of chasing after fame desperately, Emmanuel chose a different path. He pursued his education, graduating from Clark Atlanta University with a degree in theater arts in 1997. He also dabbled in business ventures and stayed active in the entertainment industry on his own terms. In 2003, he appeared in the VH1 reality series The Surreal Life, reminding audiences of the iconic kid they once adored. Do you think Emmanuel Lewis was unfairly typecast as Webster? Or was his decision to step away the reason he disappeared from mainstream Hollywood? Even after stepping back from acting, Lewis maintained a presence in pop culture. He appeared in music videos, including Michael Jackson's Liberian Girl, reflecting his long friendship with the king of pop. In the 2000s, he occasionally made public appearances at fan conventions and charity events. Unlike other child stars whose careers ended in turmoil, Emmanuel's exit from Hollywood felt more like a quiet choice rather than a tragic downfall. Emmanuel Lewis is remembered not for scandals, but for the joy he brought into millions of homes. His story is different from Gary Coleman's. There was no courtroom battle with parents, no financial ruin, and no tabloid chaos. Instead, his legacy lies in the laughter and positivity of Webster. Though he vanished from Hollywood's spotlight, his decision to live a private, grounded life shows that not every child star's journey ends in heartbreak. Orlando Brown. For many kids growing up in the early 2000s, Orlando Brown was the face of Disney comedy, as Eddie Thomas on That's So Raven. He played the hilarious best friend who always found himself tangled in Raven's visions and outrageous adventures. His comedic timing was sharp, his energy infectious, and his presence essential to the show's success. At the height of his career, Orlando seemed destined for long-term stardom, with roles in films like Major Payne, 1995, Max Keeble's Big Move, 2001, and voice work in animated series such as The Proud Family. He was everywhere. Disney Channel original movies, guest spots, and music recordings that showcased his versatility. But once That's So Raven ended in 2007, Orlando's career began to unravel. Instead of landing new opportunities, headlines started focusing on his personal struggles. He was arrested multiple times for charges ranging from drug possession to domestic disputes. His erratic behavior, whether in interviews, social media rants, or viral videos, raised serious concerns about his mental health. Fans who once laughed at his jokes were left in shock, watching a child star fall into a spiral of addiction and instability. His public image continued to deteriorate as he gave bizarre interviews, making outrageous claims about fellow celebrities and recounting stories that seemed disconnected from reality. These moments became internet fodder, but behind the memes was a young man clearly in need of help. In 2018, Orlando admitted to struggling with substance abuse and checked into rehab, a decision that marked a turning point in his story. Unlike many child stars who vanish completely, Orlando has made attempts at comebacks. He participated in reality television, released independent music projects, and occasionally appeared in small productions. In recent years, he has spoken openly about finding faith and attempting to rebuild his life. While he has not returned to the mainstream spotlight in the way fans once knew him, his journey remains ongoing. What makes Orlando Brown's story stand out is how it reflects the darker side of child stardom. Unlike Emmanuel Lewis, who quietly chose a private life, Or Gary Coleman, who battled financial betrayal. Orlando's struggles were raw, public, and painfully visible. The boy who once brought so much joy to millions became a tragic example of how fame, when combined with personal demons and lack of support, can derail even the brightest future. Yet for those who grew up watching him on Disney Channel, the memory of Eddie Thomas remains untarnished. Fans still remember the laughter, the music, and the energy he brought to every scene. Orlando Brown's path has been rocky, but his story isn't finished. He remains a reminder that behind the child star image, there is a person fighting battles the audience rarely sees. Dee Davis. For millions of viewers, Dee Davis will always be remembered as Baby Girl from The Bernie Mac Show. Born in 1996, Dee was just a child when she joined the cast in 2001, playing Brianna Baby Girl. Tompkins, she melted hearts with her innocence, natural delivery, and chemistry with Bernie Mac himself. Her sweet expressions, witty one-liners, and ability to hold her own in comedic scenes made her one of the highlights of the show. Audiences loved watching the bond between Bernie and Brianna grow stronger, with each season turning the little girl into a household name. The sitcom, which ran for 5 seasons until 2006, earned multiple NAACP Image Awards and an Emmy for Outstanding Writing. By the time it ended, Dee Davis had already secured her place in television history. Yet unlike other child stars who try to chase the next big project, she chose a very different path. Instead of continuing with acting, Dee stepped away from Hollywood almost completely. She didn't move into movies, didn't appear in high-profile guest roles, and didn't attempt to launch a music career. For many fans, it was as if she disappeared overnight. The truth is, her departure wasn't caused by scandal addiction or financial ruin, common threads in many child star stories. Instead, Dee simply wanted a normal life. After leaving the show, she focused on school and growing up outside the glare of cameras. She stayed out of tabloids and avoided the drama that often consumes young celebrities. This decision gave her a level of peace and stability that many of her peers never found. Years later, fans searching for updates discovered that Dee had become a mother and was raising her own family. She occasionally posts on social media, but she never actively pursued a Hollywood comeback. When she does appear online, it's usually lighthearted, sharing moments of motherhood, personal milestones, or fun snapshots from her daily life. Her story stands out because it's rare. While many child stars struggle with the transition to adulthood, Dee Davis proved that walking away can be the healthiest choice. She took control of her life early, choosing privacy and normalcy over the constant pursuit of fame. While this decision meant that her acting career essentially froze at its peak, it also allowed her to avoid the pitfalls that destroyed so many others. Dee Davis may have vanished from Hollywood, but she left behind a legacy of laughter, charm, and unforgettable moments as Baby Girl. Fans still revisit The Bernie Mac Show and smile at her adorable presence, proof that even a short career can leave a lasting impact. Her story is not about failure, but about choosing happiness over pressure, a quiet success hidden behind the choice to disappear. Marcus T. Polk. Marcus T. Polk was once one of the most recognizable young faces on television, thanks to his role as Miles Mitchell on the UPN sitcom Moesha, 1996 to 2001. As the mischievous younger brother of Brandy's character, Moesha, Marcus became a scene stealer. His playful banter, one-liners, and knack for comic timing gave the show its youthful energy, making him a fan favorite. At just a teenager, Polk had already built a resume that many young actors would envy, appearing in commercials and guest spots before landing the role that would define his early career. When Moesha ended, Polk seemed poised for a promising future. He transitioned into films, appearing in the 2005 skating comedy Roll Bounce, alongside Bow Wow and Nick Cannon, and later in Take the Lead 2006 with Antonio Banderas. These roles proved that he could move beyond sitcoms and into feature films, and for a time it appeared as though Marcus would continue climbing Hollywood's ladder. But the momentum did not last. As he moved into adulthood, the roles became smaller and less frequent. Instead of being cast in leading parts, Polk often found himself in supporting roles or cameo appearances. By the late 2000s, his screen presence had diminished significantly, leaving fans wondering what had happened to Moesha's little brother. Unfortunately, Polk's story took a darker turn when his name began appearing in headlines for the wrong reasons. In 2013, he was arrested after an altercation with his then-girlfriend leading to a domestic violence charge. Just a year later, in 2014, he faced another arrest for DUI after being pulled over during a routine traffic stop. These incidents overshadowed his acting resume, transforming his image from a once adorable child star into a cautionary tale. Despite these setbacks, Polk never fully disappeared. He continued to make appearances in small projects, independent films, and low-profile television roles. He also turned his energy toward music, pursuing a career as a rapper and occasionally performing at events. While these efforts kept his name in circulation, they never reached the same level of cultural impact as his years on Moesha. What makes Marcus T. Polk's journey striking is the sense of in-between. Unlike Dee Dee Davis, who walked away from Hollywood by choice, or Orlando Brown, whose collapse was very public, Polk's career didn't implode, it simply lost its spark. He didn't completely vanish, but he also didn't manage to capture the same widespread recognition he had as a child. Brandon Hammond. In the 1990s, few young actors displayed the raw emotional power that Brandon Hammond did. Born in 1984, Hammond rose to fame as a child star in some of the decade's most memorable films. His breakout role came in 1997 with Soul Food, where he played Ahmed, the young boy who narrates the story of his family's struggles and triumphs. His performance was so authentic and moving that audiences often remarked he seemed wise beyond his years. That same year, he appeared in The Fan alongside Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes, proving that he could hold his own next to Hollywood heavyweights. He had already showcased his talent in Mars Attacks 1996, bringing energy and depth even in a sci-fi comedy setting. By his early teens, Hammond had a reputation as one of the most gifted black child actors of his generation. Critics praised his ability to bring vulnerability, innocence, and strength to the screen. Fans and industry insiders alike expected him to transition into adult roles as seamlessly as he had embodied childhood ones. Yet almost as quickly as he had risen, Brandon Hammond disappeared from Hollywood. The early 2000s marked a quiet retreat from acting. Unlike other child stars, his exit wasn't marked by scandal, substance abuse, or public controversy. Instead, Hammond simply stepped away. The industry, notorious for its typecasting and limited opportunities for young black actors, may have played a role, but his decision was also deeply personal. He wanted to explore his creativity in a different way. As the acting roles dried up, Hammond turned toward writing and filmmaking. He began focusing on screenplays and directing short films, choosing to craft stories rather than perform them. In interviews, he explained that storytelling remained his passion, but he found greater fulfillment behind the camera. This transition wasn't common among child stars of his era, but it demonstrated foresight and maturity. His work has remained mostly independent, away from the spotlight, but it shows a different kind of success. Hammond is part of a generation of child stars who didn't crash or burn out, but instead quietly reinvented themselves on their own terms. Though he never returned to mainstream acting, he carved a new identity as a storyteller and creator committed to the art even without the fame. For fans, Brandon Hammond will always be Ahmad, the boy who taught his family and millions of viewers about the importance of love and unity in Soul Food. That role alone cemented his place in cinematic history. His departure from acting may have left audiences wondering what could have been, but it also gave him the freedom to pursue his craft without Hollywood's limitations. His story is not one of tragedy but of quiet transformation, proving that sometimes stepping away from the spotlight is a different kind of victory. Camille Winbush. When The Bernie Mac Show premiered in 2001, Camille Winbush quickly stood out as Vanessa Tompkins, the witty, sharp-tongued teenager who often clashed with Bernie's tough-love parenting. Her sarcasm, intelligence, and teenage attitude brought balance to the sitcom's family dynamic. Alongside Dee Dee Davis as Baby Girl and Jeremy Suarez as Jordan Camille, helped create one of the most beloved black family sitcoms of the early 2000s. Audiences related to her character's struggles with adolescence, peer pressure, and identity, while admiring her ability to deliver both comedic and heartfelt moments with ease. But Camille Winbush's career didn't begin with The Bernie Mac Show. Born in 1990, she was already a seasoned performer by the time she joined the sitcom. At just 4 years old, she appeared in Viper 1994, and soon after landed roles in Seventh Heaven Recess and ER. By the time she was a teenager, she had accumulated more acting credits than many adults in the business. She even won 3 NAACP Image Awards for her role on The Bernie Mac Show, confirming her place as a rising star. After the series ended in 2006, Camille continued working in Hollywood, but never secured another role as impactful as Vanessa. She appeared in The Secret Life of the American Teenager and guest starred on shows like Grey's Anatomy and Criminal Minds. While these roles proved she still had range, they didn't launch her into leading roles or blockbuster films. Hollywood, as it often does with child stars, seemed unsure how to transition her youthful fame into adult stardom. Instead of waiting for casting directors, Camille took control of her future. She explored music, performing as a jazz vocalist, and even experimented with spoken-word poetry. She also ventured into entrepreneurship, launching her own skincare line and working on lifestyle projects. Through social media, she cultivated a direct connection with her fans, sharing updates about her business, personal reflections, and occasional throwbacks to her Bernie Mac days. Her decision to diversify reflects a broader truth about Hollywood. Not every child star remains in the spotlight forever. While she hasn't headlined major television series or films since her teenage years, Camille has carved out a multifaceted career that combines entertainment, creativity, and independence. She represents a new generation of performers who refuse to be defined by a single role, even if that role made them famous. For fans, Camille Winbush will always be remembered as the sharp and sassy Vanessa. But her story goes beyond sitcom fame. She embodies resilience, reinvention, and the courage to step into new arenas when Hollywood fails to offer enough space. Though she faded from mainstream television, she continues to inspire by proving that life after child stardom doesn't have to end in tragedy. It can blossom into something entirely different. Lark Voorhees. In the early 1990s, Lark Voorhees was a trailblazer. As Lisa Turtle on Saved by the Bell 1989 to 1993, she became one of the first black teen stars to shine on a mainstream sitcom targeted at young audiences. Stylish, confident, and unapologetically outspoken Lisa stood out in every scene. Lark's comedic timing, charm, and on-screen presence helped make the show a cultural phenomenon, and she instantly became a role model for young black girls who had rarely seen themselves represented in such roles. During Saved by the Bell's run, Lark was more than just a sitcom star, she was a teen idol. She appeared in magazines, interviews, and was a frequent presence on the red carpet. By her early 20s, she had earned 2 Young Artist Awards, cementing her place in television history. Following her breakout, she took roles on daytime soaps like The Bold and the Beautiful and Days of Our Lives, proving her versatility and appeal across genres. But by the mid-2000s, things began to shift. Lark Voorhees slowly faded from the Hollywood spotlight. Fans noticed her absence from major reunions and reboots of Saved by the Bell. Interviews she gave in the following years raised concern. Her speech seemed disjointed, and her answers often left audiences puzzled. Rumors circulated about her health and mental well-being, leaving fans both curious and worried. In 2012, her mother revealed publicly that Lark had been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, a condition that impacts mood, thinking, and perception of reality. Lark herself initially denied the diagnosis, later confirming it in candid interviews. Her honesty shed light on the stigma surrounding mental health in the entertainment industry, particularly for black women. Following her diagnosis, Lark largely stepped away from acting. She released self-published books, including True Light, and A True Light Burden of Proof, where she shared reflections on spirituality life and her personal journey. In 2020, she made an emotional return on The Dr. Oz show, speaking openly about her struggles with mental illness and how it had affected her career. That same year, she surprised fans with a cameo in Peacock's Saved by the Bell reboot, offering a nostalgic glimpse of the Lisa Turtle everyone remembered. Though she never fully reclaimed the spotlight, Lark Voorhies' impact remains undeniable. She broke barriers on Saved by the Bell, gave a voice to mental health awareness in Hollywood, and reminded fans that behind the glamorous roles, real struggles exist. Her story is bittersweet, a teenage icon who vanished not because of scandal or financial ruin, but because of battles with health that were largely fought in silence. Still, her legacy lives on through her work, her honesty, and the enduring love of fans who grew up with Lisa Turtle's sass style and strength. Shadia Simmons. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Shadia Simmons was one of Disney Channel's brightest young stars. Born in Toronto, Canada in 1986, she first appeared on television as a child actress in the 1996 adaptation of Harriet the Spy. Her talent and charm quickly earned her bigger roles, but it was The Color of Friendship 2000 that made her unforgettable. In this powerful Disney Channel original movie, Shadia played Piper Dellums, the daughter of an African-American congressman who hosts a white South African exchange student during apartheid. The film tackled racism and cultural understanding in a way that resonated with millions of young viewers, and Shadia's heartfelt performance was praised for its maturity and emotional depth. She didn't stop there. Shadia also starred in Xenon the Sequel 2001, the sequel to Disney's hit space comedy, and became a regular face in family programming. Beyond Disney, she appeared in the Canadian sci-fi teen series Strange Days at Blake Halsey High, 2002-2006, where she played Corinne Baxter, the brilliant and determined science whiz. By her late teens, Shadia Simmons had proven herself as a versatile actress who could carry complex roles across genres. But then she quietly stepped away from Hollywood. Unlike other child stars who struggled with fame or scandal, Shadia's disappearance was by choice. She decided to prioritize education, completing her undergraduate studies, and later pursuing graduate work. She transitioned into teaching, becoming an educator in Canada. For someone who had once graced international screens, her shift to the classroom was striking. Yet it also highlighted her maturity and determination to build a life beyond the entertainment industry. As a teacher, Shadia applied the same confidence and intelligence she once brought to her roles. Reports suggest she has worked with children and young adults, guiding them through their own learning journeys. Fans often marvel at the idea of having a former Disney star as a teacher, but for Shadia, it's proof that fame was never her ultimate goal. She wanted purpose, stability, and the chance to make a real impact. What makes her story unique is how she avoided the pitfalls of child stardom. While many of her peers faced addiction, financial struggles, or public meltdowns, Shadia quietly built a different kind of success, one measured not in box office numbers, but in the lives she's touched as an educator. For fans of The Color of Friendship and Blake Halsey High, Shadia Simmons remains a nostalgic figure forever remembered for roles that carried depth and meaning. Even though she vanished from Hollywood, her career stands as proof that sometimes the bravest choice is leaving fame behind to create a life of fulfillment. Her story isn't about tragedy, it's about transformation and the courage to step into a new chapter on her own terms. Carlton Harris. In the mid-1990s, The Parenthood was one of the WB Network's family sitcom staples. Created by Robert Townsend, the show ran from 1995 to 1999 and highlighted the ups and downs of raising children in an African-American household. Among the young cast members was Carlton Harris, who played one of the Peterson kids. With his natural charisma, comic timing, and youthful energy, Harris seemed poised to grow alongside the show's popularity. For viewers, he embodied the relatable charm of a typical 90s sitcom child, funny, lovable, and an essential part of the family dynamic. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Harris's career never extended far beyond The Parenthood. Once the show wrapped after 5 seasons, he quietly disappeared from Hollywood. No major movie contracts followed, no guest appearances on other sitcoms, and no splashy music or media career. For fans who had enjoyed his presence on screen, the absence was puzzling. While some child actors fade gradually, Harris seemed to step out of the spotlight completely, almost as if he had made a clean break from the entertainment world. What makes Carlton Harris's story unusual is how little is known about his life after the parenthood. He didn't re-emerge years later on reality television or social media, and there are no documented scandals tied to his name. Unlike many child stars whose decline is chronicled through tabloid headlines, Harris left quietly and never looked back. This absence has sparked curiosity among longtime fans who occasionally revisit the sitcom and ask whatever happened to him. The lack of information has led to speculation. Some believe he pursued higher education, while others think he may have entered a completely different profession outside of entertainment. In an era where most celebrities leave digital footprints, Harris's disappearance is even more striking. His ability or decision to remain private in a world dominated by media oversharing feels rare and almost refreshing. While his Hollywood career was brief, his role on The Parenthood contributed to a series that gave Black families more representation on network television during the 1990s. For many viewers, Harris is remembered as part of a show that reflected everyday struggles, joy, and family values with authenticity. Even without a long list of credits, his contribution to the cultural fabric of that era still resonates with nostalgic audiences who grew up watching him. Carlton Harris may have completely vanished from the public eye, but perhaps that was his choice all along. Not every child actor is meant to chase fame forever, and some measure success by walking away while still intact. For fans, his story is less about tragedy and more about mystery, a reminder that sometimes the greatest disappearing act is simply choosing a life away from Hollywood. Rodney Allen Rippey. Long before the Disney Channel era of child stars, Rodney Allen Rippey captured America's heart in the 1970s. Born in 1968 in Long Beach, California, Rodney's big break came not from a sitcom or film, but from a fast food commercial. In 1973, at just 5 years old, he appeared in a Jack in the Box advertisement holding a hamburger almost as big as his face. With wide eyes and a small voice, he declared, "It's too big a eat." That single line catapulted him into national fame, making him one of the most recognizable child faces of the decade. Following the success of the commercial, Rodney was everywhere. He made guest appearances on talk shows like The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and The Mike Douglas Show. His popularity led to acting roles in films such as Blazing Saddles 1974 and The $6 Million Man. In 1974, he even released a novelty record, Take Life a Little Easier, which reached number 112 on the Billboard chart, a remarkable feat for a 6-year-old. Rodney was so beloved that he became the youngest person ever invited to perform at Richard Nixon's second presidential inauguration in January 1973. By the mid-1970s, Rodney Allen Rippey was no longer just a commercial actor. He was a pop culture phenomenon. His face appeared on lunchboxes, toys, and magazines. But as he grew older, his fame faded just as quickly as it had arrived. Hollywood wasn't offering him substantial roles once he lost his cute kid appeal. Instead of chasing roles that weren't there, Rodney chose to step away from the entertainment spotlight. After stepping back from acting, Rodney pursued a normal education, eventually attending California State University, Dominguez Hills, where he studied marketing. His focus shifted to business and media management. He founded Ripped Marketing Group, a firm specializing in media and public relations, and worked on projects tied to local politics and community development. Unlike many child stars who struggled financially, Rodney turned his early fame into a foundation for a successful business career. He never entirely left the public eye, though. Rodney occasionally returned for nostalgic appearances, such as interviews about classic commercials or cameos at retro-themed events. In 2010, he even announced a run for mayor of Compton, California, proving that his ambitions extended beyond Hollywood. Although he didn't win his candidacy, showed the determination and adaptability that defined his post-acting years. Rodney Allen Rippey's story is not one of tragedy, but of transformation. From a 5-year-old who made the nation laugh with a simple hamburger line to an entrepreneur and political hopeful, he represents a rare example of a child star who avoided scandal, embraced education, and built a fulfilling adult life. He may have vanished from Hollywood, but his legacy as the too-big-a-eat kid remains etched in American pop culture history. Vanessa Baden. For many 90s kids, Vanessa Baden was a familiar face who brought joy and energy to their television screens. Born in 1985 in Manhattan Beach, California, Vanessa's big break came with the educational children's series Gullah Gullah Island, 1994 to 1998. As a young performer, she captivated audiences with her enthusiasm, natural stage presence, and ability to make learning fun. She was more than just a supporting player. She became a symbol of a new era of diverse programming for children on Nickelodeon. Her star rose further when she landed the role of Kira Rockmore on the hit sitcom Kenan and Kel, 1996-2000. As Kenan's sharp, quick-witted younger sister Vanessa stood out with her comedic timing and strong chemistry with the cast. Alongside Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell, she was part of a show that defined Nickelodeon's golden age. By her teenage years, Vanessa had already earned her place as one of Nickelodeon's brightest young stars. But after Kenan and Kel ended, Vanessa Baden made a choice that set her apart from many child actors. Rather than chasing new roles in Hollywood, she stepped away to focus on her education. She attended Florida State University, where she earned a degree in sociology. That decision allowed her to ground herself in real-world issues while stepping out of the often relentless pressures of the entertainment industry. Do you think stepping away from Hollywood to pursue education helps child stars build a stronger future? Or does it risk losing momentum in their careers? Vanessa's decision to prioritize education didn't mark the end of her creative pursuits. Instead, it opened a new chapter. She began writing, producing, and eventually returned to the industry on her own terms. In 2017, she co-wrote, produced, and starred in the web series Giants, which aired on Issa Rae's YouTube channel before moving to BET+. The show explored complex issues facing young Black millennials, from depression to identity struggles. Giants resonated deeply with audiences and critics alike, earning multiple Daytime Emmy Awards, including one for Outstanding Digital Daytime Drama Series. Vanessa herself won an Emmy in 2019 for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Digital Daytime Drama Series, an extraordinary achievement for someone who had once walked away from the spotlight. Beyond acting and writing, Vanessa Baden has become a voice for social justice. She has published essays on race, gender, and the entertainment industry, using her platform to speak about underrepresentation and systemic barriers. She has also worked as a political speechwriter and producer, showcasing her versatility beyond traditional Hollywood roles. What makes Vanessa's journey unique is that it's not defined by scandal, collapse, or loss. Instead, hers is a story of reinvention. She didn't vanish because she was forced out. She left to build her own path and returned stronger, smarter, and more purposeful. Fans who grew up watching her on Nickelodeon now admire her as an Emmy-winning creator activist and mother, proving that child stardom doesn't always end in heartbreak. Vanessa Baden's career arc is a reminder that stepping away from fame doesn't mean the end. It can be the beginning of something even greater. Rachel True. Rachel True's name will forever be tied to one of the most iconic cult films of the 1990s, The Craft, 1996. Born in New York City in 1966. Rachel began her acting career with guest roles on shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Beverly Hills 90210. But it was her turn as Rochelle Zimmerman, one of 4 teenage witches in The Craft, that made her a cultural icon. The film grossed over $55 million worldwide on a modest budget, and became a touchstone for teenage audiences, cementing Rachel as a rising star in Hollywood. Unlike her co-stars, Neve Campbell, Robin Tunney, and Fairuza Balk, Rachel True's career did not skyrocket after the film's success. She later revealed that as the only black actress in the group, she faced systemic racism in Hollywood. She was often excluded from promotional tours, press events, and even fan conventions celebrating the craft. This exclusion, despite her central role, highlighted how the industry often marginalized black women, even in projects where they played leading parts. After the craft, Rachel landed another defining role in the sitcom Half and Half, 2002-2006, playing Mona Thorne, a quirky and intelligent half-sister navigating family and career. The show ran for 4 seasons on UPN and earned her an NAACP Image Award nomination. While Half and Half gave Rachel another chance to shine, the series ended abruptly when the network merged into the CW, and once again, her momentum was cut short. Beyond acting, Rachel reinvented herself in unexpected ways. She became a professional tarot card reader in Los Angeles, combining her love for spirituality and storytelling. In 2020, she published True Heart Intuitive Tarot, a guidebook blending her personal experiences with tarot symbolism. Fans who once knew her as Rochelle or Mona were fascinated to see her build a second career rooted in empowerment and self-discovery. Rachel also stayed connected to her fan base through appearances at Comic-Cons and horror conventions, where she shared candid stories about her struggles in the industry. She has been outspoken about the lack of opportunities for black actresses and how systemic biases limited her career trajectory. Her honesty resonated with fans who admired her courage to speak against Hollywood's double standards. Although she didn't land blockbuster franchises or leading film roles later in her career, Rachel True's impact is undeniable. She broke barriers by bringing representation into a genre that often sidelined black characters, and her performances continue to resonate with fans decades later. Rachel's journey is not about vanishing entirely, but about surviving Hollywood's silence. She may not have been given the same spotlight as her peers, but she carved her own path balancing acting, writing, and spiritual work. Her story is one of resilience, reminding audiences that success is not always measured by constant fame. It can also be found in reinvention and authenticity. Taj Mowry. For audiences who grew up in the late 1990s, Taj Mowry was more than just another child actor. He was the brainy, lovable face of Disney and ABC sitcoms. Born in 1986 in Honolulu, Hawaii, and raised in California, Taj came from a family of performers. His twin sisters Tia and Tamara Mowry found fame on Sister Sister, and Taj followed suit with his own breakout role as T.J. Henderson on the sitcom Smart Guy, 1997 to 1999. Playing a child prodigy who skips several grades to attend high school, Taj delivered both comedy and relatability. The show, though it lasted only 3 seasons, became a cult favorite, and still resonates with fans through reruns and streaming platforms. Before Smart Guy, Taj was already building a resume. He appeared on Full House as Michelle Tanner's friend Teddy, adding to the warmth of the popular family sitcom. He also made guest appearances on shows like Friends Sister Sister and Star Trek Voyager. By his teenage years, Taj Mowry was firmly established as one of the recognizable child stars of the era. When Smart Guy ended, Taj didn't vanish completely, but his visibility in Hollywood lessened. He took on voice work, most notably as Wade in the animated Disney Channel hit Kim Possible 2002 to 2007, a role that showcased his adaptability. He also starred in Disney Channel original movies like Hounded 2001 and The Poof Point 2001. Still, compared to the breakout momentum of Smart Guy, these projects didn't carry the same weight, and Taj slipped somewhat into the background of the industry. In the 2010s, Taj resurfaced with new energy. He played Tucker Dobbs on the ABC Family freeform sitcom Baby Daddy, 2012 to 2017, a role that ran for 6 seasons and introduced him to a younger generation of fans. He also explored music, releasing singles like Flirt in 2015, showing audiences that his talents stretched beyond acting. While Taj hasn't become a blockbuster film star, he has steadily worked in television for more than 2 decades, avoiding the tragic downfalls that plagued some of his peers. Unlike many who faded due to scandal or health struggles, Taj's career reflects consistency and quiet resilience. He also remained close with his sisters, often appearing in joint interviews or family projects, keeping the Maori name strong in Hollywood. Taj Maori's story is one of steady, if understated, success. He didn't chase tabloid fame or risk everything for blockbuster stardom. Instead, he carved out a balanced path, transitioning from child star to adult actor, exploring music and building a career that values stability over spectacle. Fans still remember him as the smart guy, but his legacy is much bigger, a reminder that not all child stars need to burn out or disappear. Some simply choose to grow at their own pace. Tatyana Ali. When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air premiered in 1990, audiences quickly fell in love with Ashley Banks, the youngest member of the Banks family. Portrayed by Tatyana Ali, Ashley was sweet, intelligent, and stylish, often caught between her cousin Will's antics and the protective nature of her older siblings. Over 6 seasons, viewers watched her grow from a wide-eyed preteen into a confident young woman. By the series finale in 1996, Ali was not just a sitcom character, she was a star in her own right. Born in 1979 to an Indo-Trinidadian father and a Panamanian mother, Tatyana had an international background that enriched her on-screen presence. Her early career included a stint on Sesame Street at age 6, but The Fresh Prince cemented her legacy. She even showcased her vocal talent during the show, leading to a parallel career in music. In 1998, she released her debut album, Kiss the Sky, under MJJ Music, Michael Jackson's label. The album reached gold certification with sales surpassing 500,000 copies in the US, and its lead single, Daydreamin', peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. Despite her early success, Ali did not chase fame relentlessly after The Fresh Prince. She made guest appearances on shows like The Cosby Show and The Young and the Restless, but instead of relying solely on acting, she prioritized her education. In 2002, she graduated from Harvard University with a degree in African American Studies and Government, proving she valued intellectual growth just as much as entertainment success. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, Ali maintained a steady but low-key presence in the industry. She appeared in TV movies, independent films, and recurring roles in soap operas, balancing her career with personal development. She also became active in political advocacy, supporting campaigns that encouraged young people of color to vote and pursue higher education. Ali's personal life also flourished outside of Hollywood's constant gaze. She married Dr. Vaughn Raspberry, a professor at Stanford University, in 2016, and the couple now has 2 children. For fans who grew up watching her, this chapter reinforced her image as grounded, intelligent, and focused on family values. While she may not dominate the headlines like some of her peers, Tatyana Ali has built a career defined by balance. She's been a child star, a charting musician, a Harvard graduate, a political advocate, and a devoted mother. For audiences, she will always be remembered as Ashley Banks, the girl who grew up before our eyes on one of the most beloved sitcoms of all time. But her true legacy lies in how she transformed child stardom into a springboard for a fuller, more meaningful life. Jaz Raycole. Jaz Raycole's story is one of the most unique among child stars of the 2000s. Born in 1988 in Stockton, California, Jaz was a multi-talented performer from a young age. Trained as a professional dancer, she won national competitions before transitioning into acting. Her breakthrough came when she was cast as Claire Kyle, the eldest daughter in the ABC sitcom My Wife and Kids, 2001. The show, starring Damon Wayans and Tisha Campbell-Martin, was an instant success, praised for its humor and family-centered storytelling. Jaz's role as Claire showcased her comedic timing, teenage sass, and relatable personality, earning her recognition as one of the show's bright young stars. However, after the first season, audiences were shocked to see that the role of Claire had been recast. Jennifer Freeman stepped in as the new Claire, leaving fans confused and curious about what had happened. Rumors swirled, but the truth later came out. Jaz's mother objected to a planned storyline in Season 2 that would involve teenage pregnancy. Believing the content was inappropriate for her young daughter at the time, she withdrew Jazz from the series. Leaving my wife and kids at the height of its success could have been career-ending for a young actress. For years, Jazz kept a relatively low profile, taking small guest roles on shows like The Office Everybody Hates Chris and Monk. These appearances reminded fans of her talent but were far from the visibility she once enjoyed. Unlike many child stars, though, Jazz didn't burn out or spiral. Instead, she used the time to grow personally and professionally outside the Hollywood spotlight. She eventually found her way back to bigger roles. In 2012, she starred in TV Land's The Soul Man, opposite Cedric the Entertainer and Niecy Nash. She continued building her resume with appearances in shows like The Quad 2017 and eventually landed a recurring role in Netflix's The Lincoln Lawyer 2022, where she played Izzy Letts, a character that allowed her to show dramatic range far beyond the teenage roles of her past. In addition to acting, Jazz never abandoned her passion for dance. She trained with renowned choreographers and performed as a professional dancer, balancing her love for performance across multiple art forms. Her dedication to both crafts highlighted her versatility and resilience. Jazz Raycole's journey is a reminder that leaving a major role doesn't always mean the end of a career. Instead, it can be a detour toward rediscovery and growth. She may have vanished for a time, but her comeback proved that patience, persistence, and family support can reshape a child star's destiny. For fans, Jazz will always be remembered as the original Claire Kyle, but her later work shows she is far more than a sitcom daughter. Her story reflects both the challenges and the triumphs of navigating fame, family, and faith in one of the toughest industries in the world. Fame can be a blessing or a curse, and the stories of these 16 black child stars prove that the spotlight doesn't always last forever. Some walked away by choice, others were pushed out, and a few faced battles too heavy to carry. Yet each of them left behind unforgettable moments that shaped television and film history. At Legends of Black Excellence, we honor their impact while asking the hard questions: was Hollywood to blame for their disappearance? Or did personal choices write their destinies? What do you think, were these stars failed by the industry, or did they find freedom outside it?